Hi, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. We are preparing for November 11th. And this week we are continuing our story of Isaac. Remember last week we talked about how God had made a promise to Isaac that his family would continue to grow, and his wife became pregnant. Rebecca became pregnant with twin boys. They were born. Their names are Jacob and Esau. So this week we're going to talk about Jacob and Esau after they have grown up, and this rivalry that has been established in them but since before birth. And really helping kids to understand that God's promise, even in a tricky situation with tricks being played, that God had a plan and a promise in the middle of all of that. And he was going to see his promise come true. Even though Jacob did some things that we wouldn't necessarily appreciate as parents, for sure. So, in your small group times, you have been playing your dice game. It looks like the kids are having fun playing with their dice and learning to play 5Z. Continue to do that. Those activities are there to help us build relationships with kids. That's where you get to have those real conversations and get to figure out who your kids are. So thank you for doing those things. We'll do large group, and then you'll move into your small group. When you get to small group, you are going to have a very large bag of stones, rocks. And what you're going to do is each kid is going to get one of those rocks, and you'll also have some Sharpie markers in your box. And I know everybody loves Sharpie markers. Let's just remind them to use the Sharpie markers on appropriate things, okay? And so what you're going to do is you'll also have, in your lesson it tells you to pull out the poster. I decided not to make it a poster. I made these for you, and what I'm going to do is cut up each of the scripture references so that you can pass those out to a kid. I think that'll be better than trying to make the poster thing work. If you have bigger kids and you know that they would like to read it from the Bible and write their own things on their rock based on that, you're welcome to do that. So what they're supposed to do is take a rock and their Sharpie marker and the scripture that you give them and write that scripture on the rock. Now, it might not be real easy for them to use their Sharpie marker to write every word. So if they wanted to draw a picture to depict what they think is going on in the scripture, they can do that. If they only want to put like the reference, like Psalm 103:17 on their rock and then decorate their rock around that, they can do that. The reason we're doing rocks, there were a couple things that happened in this story that we think that the bigger kids would really like to acknowledge, and it's also kind of a good practice to set in play too. So what a tradition that they have even still in Israel is that when you get to a place and you feel like you have encountered God in that place, then you set up a tower of stones as kind of an altar to acknowledge that God was there in that place. And so after Jacob had tricked his dad into the blessing, Esau obviously got really, really mad, and Jacob left, and he needed to find refuge. And in that refuge time, he really sought God and asked for God to help protect him and watch over him. And in that moment, God talked to him and said, I have a promise, and my promise is for you as much as it was for Isaac and for Abraham and your fathers. And so in that place where Jacob met God and had that conversation, he built one of these altars. Now, what you can remind kids too is many schools are doing something with rocks to help them remember certain things, or to build like a rock garden. I know I have some special stones out in my garden that help me remember my kids when they were little, that has their footprints from when they were 2 and 3 years old. And so, it's kind of a good reminder for us, and that's why we're writing these scriptures on here. We're writing scriptures on these rocks as a good reminder to us, not because we want to go be destructive with this rock later, but as a reminder, because a rock doesn't go away easily, of God's promises to us. And so all of these scriptures that are a part of what you'll be passing out to kids are good things to encourage them to remember, to memorize, to keep in front of them all the time. I may have used this illustration in the past with you, but one of the things that one of my mentors always encouraged me to do was to write down scriptures or promises from God and post those on Post-it notes all over my house as a reminder to me that God is my refuge and my strength, and that is where I find my hope. So by helping kids do this activity right here, I'm hoping that they'll learn another way that they can make sure that God's promises are in front of them. I know that was a lot of words to explain why they're decorating rocks. I think most of them will have fun decorating the rock, but that's really the whole reason behind that, is to help them see the bigger picture of that. Then you also have your memory verse puzzles for this series. I would hope that your kids are beginning to fill those out and they're getting really good at doing that, because we're almost at the end of the series. We have 2 more weeks after this. We have our Leader Thanksgiving today, Sunday after church at 5:30. I hope that you will come join us for this. It's a fun time to be together as families. I know you spend a lot of time with your kids, but it's a fun way for us to be together as families and just encourage each other, let the kids be kids, and see the whole church together and be encouraged by what God is doing around us. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite things, and so I really want for you guys to come eat turkey, enjoy Thanksgiving side dishes with us, and celebrate all God has done. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.